Hi guys, it's the Black Empress here. Forgive me if the angle is a bit awkward. I have my phone in a tree and I'm sitting on a rock outside. I hope you can hear me clearly. I didn't have time to set up my tripod and the works because I realized that if I don't do this video now, I probably never will. So yeah, wow, let me start by saying I never in a million years thought that I would fall into this demographic. And I say demographic for lack of a better word, because just these few days have exposed me to experiences I never imagined I would go through, as the strong alpha female woman that I am, and as a healer. And I use the word healer loosely because for those who know me, you'll know that I don't think anyone has the ability to heal anyone. And I identify more as a transformational healing facilitator because I've learned that all we do as so-called healers is just help other people heal themselves. That's all we do, really. So I struggle with calling myself a healer, but the term healing facilitator is too long. It's just easier sometimes to just say healer. So I just want to make that clear because that's important to me. Forgive the noise in the background. There's some construction going on for Awoken House of Consciousness. For those who don't know, that's our transformational facility. That's where all the healing takes place. That's where we have our yoga, our meditations, our cleansings, steaming the works, all the things that enable you to, that help you on your spiritual journey, which is part of the work that I do. Sure, this is tough for me to share, considering the person that it involves, because this is about an experience I've been going through. I went through for the last 9 years, with my ex, who happens to be the father of 2 of my children. So this is tough, but I just couldn't keep silent. I couldn't. I had to say something because I don't know. I'm still in shock and I'm still processing my reality, what my reality was for the last 9 years compared to what I thought it was and what it actually was, and what my reality is now as a result of those 9 years. So I broke up with my ex a few months ago, and in the 9 years we were together, I tried to break up with him so many times. And then yesterday, I realized why I never fell through with it. And it mostly had to do with me seeking people's opinions every time I wanted to break up with him. And because everyone thought he was so amazing, and they thought if anything I was the problem in the relationship, and he made that clear as well for me. So I think with time I started to believe that, and I started to think that I couldn't live without him or have a successful life without him. So I stayed, and they would tell me how incredible he was and how good he was for me, and how my future was non-existent without him because of the person that he was, because of the energy he carried, because of the role he supposedly played in my life. And funny enough, that was not my experience with him. That was not my experience with him at all. And somehow I managed to allow everyone else's opinion about him to override my own experiences, my own feelings about the relationship, and my own experience of the relationship. So I stayed. And the last few days have been such an eye opener because the relationship was volatile. Like it was volatile, and I was always on eggshells. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to share, because I want to be respectful and sensitive of the fact that he was the father of my child. But at the same time, I want to I want to share my experience, because when I think of who I see myself as and what I went through, what the relationship did to me, I can only imagine how many other women and men are going through what I went through. So I've but I've determined, or I've come to the realization that I was actually in an abusive relationship for 9 years without realizing. And how I know this is because after, I think, 3 months of not seeing him, I saw him a few days ago, and he was his usual abusive self, and it almost killed me. And then something in me was like, wait a minute, this there's nothing new, there's nothing different. This is how this guy has always been towards you for the last 9 years. And the reason why I never realized that was because in the 9 years, I obviously came up with coping mechanisms, and I normalized the abuse. So it didn't feel like abuse anymore. It just became a matter of, well, you know how he is. He's always like this. Just pick yourself up and keep it moving. And, as I was crying after the encounter that I had with him, and just reliving it, and just trying to recover from the impact of what he did when he came here, I found myself blurting out loud. I was going through the things that he used to say to me and do to me, which is mostly what he did when he came, and I found myself blurting out loud, "And you stayed?" And it's almost like I was on the outside looking in at this life I had lived for 9 years. That is obviously my life, but somehow I checked out so I could cope. I checked out so I could be okay, so I could survive and keep moving regardless of what I was being put through. Now, granted, he wasn't all bad. No one is all bad, There were some amazing moments, and as a spiritual person, I chose to focus on those amazing moments. I chose to focus on his goodness. I would say affirmations, trying to declare the opposite of what I was going through in the relationship. But one thing you guys need to realize is you cannot make affirmations for someone else. Affirmations about you and the change that you can bring about for your life. You cannot affirm for someone to be something that they are not. Don't mind the birds in the background. We live in a jungle here, and it's some of the things I love about living here. So, that was the other issue I had with prayer, or with not prayers per se, but the Christian faith, where, I remember in my relationship with one of my first relationships, serious relationships as an adult, the relationship was toxic. It wasn't the best thing for me, but I kept thinking I could pray for the person, and I would pray and fast for like 7 days straight, for the person to change and things like that. So I quickly realized, this person is not going to change no matter how much I pray, no matter how much I fast, they are not going to change. So eventually I walked away from that relationship. So this time, because I wasn't Christian and because I'm a spiritual person, I thought, well, let me change my reality. This person is like this, but let me affirm that he's this. Let me affirm that I'm in a happy relationship. Let me affirm that, this relationship is good for me, it's good for my children, even though it wasn't. And, because I'm out of it now, it's almost like I'm going through a place of looking back and looking at someone else's life, because I don't believe that was my life for the last 9 years. Yo. So anyway, because of, like, when he left, when he came, actually, I haven't seen him in months. He's not helping me in any way, to support his kids. And I'm okay with that. I made peace with that. My mom has been taking care of me because I'm going through a building phase. So I'm not actively working, or seeking an income. So I don't have any income coming in. And my mom is the one that has been helping me out, and my sister. So that's basically how I've been surviving probably for the last year and a half. And so when he came, he he was his usual abusive self, yes. And by the time he left, he was cursing me and, declaring and prophesying my demise, telling me how, my life was going to fall apart, and, what a terrible person I am, and so on and so forth. And then, so I took time, I went to my sanctuary, and I spoke to my ancestors, spoke to my guides, because I was struggling. I was struggling after he left. So eventually I came right. Oh no, it's about to rain. I hope I'll be able to do and finish this video before it starts pouring, because, yeah, if I move from here, I don't know if I will continue or if I'll finish it, but I hope I will. It's just that the lighting here is great, and yeah, I kind of found a comfortable spot. So I went to my sanctuary for hours, and I just prayed and I cried and I spoke to them, and I basically just handed everything over to them, and asked them to deal with the situation, because I couldn't be bothered to deal with him. And then, so yeah, I was feeling better. I was using the sanctuary at the Airbnb, which is a few feet from where the house is. So after that, I come back home, and then I open my phone, and there's these messages pouring in. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And when I open the messages, it's messages from my mom. And she sent me screenshots of what this person was saying to her after he left here. He was talking about how money hungry I am, and how I'll never get a cent from him. And, my mom is like, can you please not involve the kids in your fight with Tanya? And so she asked, can you please at least help with the fees? And, with the fees and the kids' transport and stuff. And he outrightly said no. She's not getting a single cent from me. I'm not doing anything, you know. And he said quite a few things. Basically, I've realized now that he sees me as a villain, and I can't contest that, because that's how he feels, and I can't contest how he feels, basically. So what I realized is he's trying so hard for everyone to see me as, like, through his eyes. And what shocked me was that he thought he could do this with my mother. Granted, my mom was like a mom to him. Like, my mom is a mom to everyone. She's the most loving, most long-suffering, most selfless person I know. And she was just that to him, the way she is to everybody else. And I think he saw this as, maybe he could use this to override my mom's affections for me, in such that my mom would see me the way he sees me. But anyway, that said, I was crushed, and I wasn't crushed because of the things he said. I mean, he used to say those things to my face anyway. I was crushed at what this meant for my kids. I've always been provided for, even in the relationship. I barely got much support from him for me or the kids anyway. So this was not going to be anything new. What crushed me was the reality that because of these choices that he's making, my kids were going to be robbed of a father. Even during the relationship, I don't know, like it was like I was living with two people, and it's like two people were fathering my kids. One moment he would be the most amazing dad, and then other moments it would be like, dude, who are you? And this is tough. This is tough. Yeah, but anyway, so I was crushed, that at what those messages implied to mean for my kids, and it hurt me. And I spent the whole night trying to process that, trying to deal with that. And I thought, what, I have to be okay. Maybe I'll be okay, whatever. So I did my usual thing. I prayed, called my spirit guides, my angels, my ancestors, did the usual thing. And by the time I went to bed, I was fine. And I thought, man, I'm going to get through this. I'm strong. I'm loved. I'm supported. I'm going to get through this. And then I wake up in the morning, and there's like scores of messages going through my phone, like message after message after message. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I go and I check my phone, and it's messages like, hey, where are you? Hey, how much? Hey, let's do business. Hey, are you available? Hey, and I'm like, wait a minute, like what the hell is going on here? So, when I was having that experience, I thought of something he said to me sometime during the relationship, that if you break up with someone, one way to get at them is to put an ad on Ads Africa. But at the time when I was remembering this, I couldn't remember the website that he mentioned. But I remember him saying that you could put someone's number on a site, basically advertising them as a prostitute, just to get to them. And they would have all these strange men like trying to contact them or get a hold of them or whatever. So that memory came to mind when these messages were coming through. So I frantically started texting all of those men back and saying, please send me a screenshot of. No, I asked them, like, what do you mean? Where is this coming from? And they're like, I'm responding to the ad from Ads Africa. And I'm like, what's Ads Africa? So I Google it, and well, to my surprise, it's basically a site where for hookups, yeah, basically a site for hookups. So I'm like, can you please send me a screenshot of this ad? And the guy sends it to me, and yeah, lo and behold, my name is there in living color, my business number, and my location, sort of, like the area that I stay in. And I wanted to die. I was like, geez, what the hell, And he obviously, I've got two numbers. I've got a business number, I've got a personal number, and he clearly chose to use my business number because he knew that would obviously have more impact than my personal number, because obviously my business number is tied to my business number is tied to my business. And obviously what he was advertising me as is totally, contrary to what I do. So he knew he could hit two birds with one stone, where he could basically destroy me and my business. And the sad thing is, because he used my business number, my address and everything is online, because I work from home, my business is based at home. And in that moment, I realized he didn't even think of how this could impact even his kids, because I live here with my kids, And, you could see some of these men were getting agitated, because obviously the picture he had put on the side was exciting them. And, they were looking forward to getting a hold of me or whatever. And, they're like, where are you? Can I come now? And this and that. And my phone has obviously been ringing off the hook since. And so I decided, you know what, I need for him to start having consequences for his actions, because he's done a lot. And I'm sure some of you will be like, how do I know it's him? Well, first of all, he couldn't even wait until maybe a week after, saying the things he said to me and declaring how he was going to destroy me and stuff. Like, he literally did it the next day after having said all those things to me. Not only that, throughout the relationship, he always accused me of cheating. And at one time, he started sending, pictures of me to someone he thought I was cheating with. He started sending very, intimate pictures of me to this person. And I had not even so much as given this person a hug. This was just someone who was interested in me. And obviously, because I was with him, I didn't entertain the person or tolerate his advances and stuff. And he started sending this person pictures of me that obviously were meant for his eyes only. And, basically exposing me to this person who he didn't even know. And this guy actually, it was like, man, how can you do this to the mother of your kids? And it's experiences like that where I look back and I was like, man, this person did all these things to me and I still stayed. So yeah, so I took it, and because the only way I knew of this Ads Africa was because he had mentioned it at some point that, this would be a good way to get at someone, where you just put their info there and, obviously they would have all these strange men calling them and stuff. So yeah, that's what I used to determine that, no, man, it definitely had to be him. And I live a very quiet, private life. Like, my circle is very small, if not non-existent. The only people I interact with are my clients, and outside of that, I'm with my family. I don't really have friends. My tribe is my family, and I have a bigger tribe now of my workers who've become like family as well. So that's basically me. So I don't really know of anyone who would be malicious enough to want to hurt me in that way. And the other thing that gave it away for me that it was him, my family has a Congolese background. Like, my ancestors are from the Congo, and it's not a lot of people that know this, but obviously he would know. I mean, he was with me for 9 years, and he advertised me as a thick Congolese whatever, and yeah, so there's so many things. And the other thing is, the area we stay, people just know this place as Hartis, or whatever. And the location that he used is a location that only someone who's familiar with this place or who knows about this place would know to use that location, or to know that this place is close to that place. So, for me, all of this, and like, I'm quite happy for him to challenge me and take me to court over this. But yeah, I know it's him. But anyway, so I'm like, no, man. So out of fear, which is the mistake I made, because I always advise my clients not to speak or do things out of fear. Out of fear, fear of being attacked, people, fear of, someone coming and stalking me, to get this service that's been advertised, out of fear of my children being in harm's way. I went to the police station and I wanted to open a case against him. And, my experience there at the police station is one of the reasons why I decided to do this video, because I was shocked at how I was treated, how this wasn't taken seriously, how nonchalant, the some of the cops were. Some were quite helpful, but the majority couldn't be bothered. And they were even surprised I was trying to open a case over this. And I'm like, okay, are we going to wait until, his actions put my kids in harm's way or put me in harm's way before anything is done? And they're like, do you have proof? And I'm like, well, I was hoping the police could investigate, because as far as I know, you can always trace someone's IP address, to see where whatever was posted from. And I don't have the means to do that. I would think the police could do that. But yeah, basically they couldn't be bothered. And then eventually I was taken to the captain, and they just took my phone, and they were parading this picture throughout the police station, and asking, okay, so how do we do this? How do we deal with something like this? We've never had something like this. And I'm like, surely there's a cyber crime division or someone or something that can be done. Can someone just do this to someone and get away with it? And so we were there for hours, and eventually I was taken to this captain, and this captain was like, listen, honestly speaking, we can open a case, but it'll be months if anything is done about it, if at all anything is done about it. And I was just shattered at the thought of what women go through when they try to get help for these kind of scenarios. I mean, granted, my life wasn't physically threatened and I wasn't physically in harm's way. For me, the abuse was more psychological than anything else. But my heart just started to break for the rape victims that go to the police station, and they're probably asked, like, what were you wearing? What did you do to make him do this? And are you sure you were raped? I just started having visions. And because I'm an empath, I just started picking up these things in the police station of women who are in worse, scenarios than me, coming through the police station trying to get help and being met by insensitive or indifferent officers. And, so she's like, you know what, it could take months before anything is done, if at all anything can be done. What I would advise you to do is to get a protection order. And you get a protection order, you can state in there, what you don't want him to do. And if he crosses the line, and needless to say, that keeps him away from you. And if he crosses the line at any point, then we can have him arrested. So, okay, I was like, all right, fine. So the only reason I followed through with that was because the magistrate's court is right next door to the police station. So I thought, well, okay, let me just do this. I have nothing to lose. I've been here for hours anyway. Nothing has come of it. Let me go to the court and see, and just do this protection order thing. And then when I got there were many women there. There were many women there. And, everyone just started talking about their experiences and why they were there, and how much they tried to get help from the police and they didn't get much help, and how they were now trying to get help through the courts, the protection orders. And it was just a sad thing to experience. And it was shocking for me because it's like the healer in me. I went into healer mode, and I'm trying to, work with everyone there, and just some were crying, just comfort them, reassure them, and to the point that I even forgot that I was in the same situation, and I was seeking the same help they were seeking. But yeah, man, yeah, that was something. But anyway, so I get in there, they give me the forms, and they're like, you've got to send evidence and proof of, mention everything that happened. And I've got, throughout the 9 years, lucky enough, I've kept, the messages he would send to me, where he would put me down, where he would say menacing things. There's a time where he even tried to okay, let me not go there. Let me stay focused, because I just want to share what happened in the last few days without getting emotional. I just want to share it to get it out of my system, so I can just move on, be done with it, and keep it moving. I don't want to dwell on the past. So anyway, I've got messages that basically paint a very clear picture of the kind of person he was to me, the way he used to speak to me, the way he used to treat me, what he thought of me, his anger towards me, his bitterness towards me, his hatred towards me. Like, the messages are, I mean, they say it all. And lucky enough, I have those. And they were like, yeah, you can attach that, to show the maliciousness, to show that he would most likely do something like that because of his ill intent towards you. And I have all his information, so I could have filed for the protection order right there and then, and I could have been done with him. So I was like, I don't like to do things, like, I don't like to do things impulsively and in a rush manner. So I told myself, okay, fine, no, let me go home, let me sleep on this, and yeah, let me think about it. And then when I got home, first of all, I realized I couldn't do anything. I just took a shower, went into bed, and I was pretty much paralyzed. And I realized that the experience, everything that I'd gone through had literally drained me. I realized that it had taken everything out of me. And I realized that if I continued with this, if I started going through the messages, to pick the ones that the court needed to see, that was me applying myself further and putting myself deeper into this thing that I was trying to put an end to, and I was like, man, it's over. He's not in my life anymore, thankfully. I there and then I just decided that I don't want to give this thing any more energy, any more time, any more attention than I already had, because whatever you focus on amplifies, and the more I focused on this, the more I gave power to it, and the more it drained my power, my energy, the more it took away from my joy, from my peace. Because in the days since he came, I haven't been able to work. I haven't been able to do anything. One of the kids was sick, and I'm busy trying to attend to my sick child. And at the same time, I'm busy trying to do damage control of the things he's done. I'm trying to process what he's done to me. I'm trying to process what he's doing. And, I'm trying to imagine the worst, like, okay, this is just what I found out. Because what he also tried to do was to open a Tinder account using my information. But Tinder sent me a notification to verify, before the account could be opened. So that's the only thing that stopped him in his tracks. So I was thinking, what else is he trying to do, And so I decided, what? And the other reason why I wanted to take care of this was I didn't want to leave it up to my ancestors, because spirit is very unpredictable. And, my guides are of love and light. But I can't say the same for all my ancestors. And because of the stage I am in my spirituality, I work with all my ancestors, the good, the bad, or whatever, but they know where I stand. So I didn't want to leave it to my ancestors to take care of. And I thought, you know what, let me just try and go the legal route to take care of this. Because for me, that would cause the least harm. But then I ended up saying, you know what, I don't have time for this. Not only do I not have time for this, I don't have the energy for this. And I felt like if I went through with this, I was actually giving him what he wanted, which was my attention, which was a reaction. Because the reason he was so upset when he left here was because when he came and did what he did, I didn't respond. All I said was, I feel sorry for you. And I asked him, do you feel better now that you've said all those things to me, that you've torn me down and, you know, spoken my demise over this place and cursed, you know, this place, which is the home of your children. You're talking about how everything's going to fall apart and how I'm going to lose it all. But you don't realize that if I lose it all, it means that your kids have nowhere to stay. It means that your kids have nothing to eat. Why would you want that? Why would you hate me so much that you forget about your kids' well-being? You're not doing anything for your kids. So if anything happens to me, what happens to your kids, you know? But anyway, yeah, so I decided, you know what, I don't have the time, I don't have the energy for this, I'm not doing this. And I left it to God. I didn't leave it to my ancestors because, hey, you know, with them, like the shady ones, any gun can shoot. So, hey, I mean, anything can happen. So, you know, I have an affirmation that I say when things are a bit too heavy for me or when there's things I can't handle. Let me start with my mom's affirmation. My mom is a staunch Christian, you know, she's a Pentecostal, Holy Ghost fire Christian. And all my mom says, you know, in situations that she can handle is over to you, Lord. So, you know, I laughingly just said, over to you, Lord, you know, thinking of my mom and just deciding, you know what, God, you deal with this. And then I said my affirmation, which is what I say when something is too hard for me. And for me, it's, you know, man, how did I? To me, it's, why did that affirmation just fly out of my head? I set this burden upon the Christ and I go free. So as much as I'm not Christian, I acknowledge Christ as one of the ascended masters because that was my introduction into spirituality, you know, through Christianity. So, you know, Jesus and I have always been like this, like Christ is my man, you know, like, you know, we roll like that. And, you know, I've never separated from him, even when I started on my ancestral journey. So, yeah, I just said, you know, unto the Christ, I release this, you know, and I go free. And I just left it at that. And then I decided to come outside here, you know, onto this rock and pray. And I didn't come to pray, actually. I came to Pasha. And Pasharing is a thing we it's when you call on your ancestors and you communicate with your ancestors and whatnot. But funny enough, I found myself praying and I found myself crying, you know, and just asking God to intervene, asking the Holy Spirit, which is another spirit that I continue to commune with and to walk with, you know, out of my Christian faith, but it means something totally different to me. And I just found myself praying and crying and leaving it up to God. And what I didn't realize is, you know, my church guides, they like white. Like the main guide is my granny, Umakhatebe, you know, she's like all white. And I realized in the last days, you know, because of how I've been feeling, I've pretty much been in my pajamas all day. And of all my pajamas, I realized I've been wearing my white pajamas. And, you know, for me, those represent my ancestors that are more inclined to the Christian faith, that walk with Christ and things like that. And it's those ancestors that when I summon, I end up praying or speaking in tongues or connecting, through Christ. No, Mickey, please, not now, not now. Sorry, that's my daughter, and okay, I need to do this because if I have any interruptions whatsoever, I won't go through with it. And yeah, I just need to get this done. So yeah, I don't have my app to edit anymore, so I had to nip that in a bud so I can just continue filming, because I'm not going to be able to edit this video. I'm just going to post it as is without any editing. So anyway, so when I pray and whatever, it's those ancestors that come up for me. And I realize that, just even me, because we wear our ancestral garb, we wear our, our garments and things like that, as a way of invoking the power and the energy of the ancestors who embody those cloths and things like that. And in the last days, since all this happened, I realized I'd been wearing my white pajamas. And in that moment, I realized that they were holding me up even without me realizing, They were they were supporting me. And that's probably where my strength was coming from, because so many times I felt like, my strength is failing me and I can't go on. And why is this happening to me? But somehow I still managed to get up, even though I spent most of the time in bed and in my pajamas. But I still managed to get up, check what the workers are doing, check on the house, and just make sure everything is going as it should. So I came onto this rock and I prayed and I cried and I sang and I worshipped. And, I just did my thing. And then before I knew it, my kids started coming one by one, and they were just hugging me and holding me, wiping my tears away. The next thing, my dog came, and he's a big dog, he's a big Labrador. He came, he sat on my lap, and it's like he wanted me to hug him, because obviously he can't give me a hug, and he was trying to kiss me. And and he's never done that before. When I drive in, he'll run after the car, and he'll be at the window, and he gets excited when he sees me. It's raining, so I need to wrap this up quick. But anyway, to wrap it up, my kids coming when I was crying and wiping my tears away and comforting me, the dog coming, and just nature, the birds coming and singing around me. And that just reminded me that I am loved, I am supported, I am protected, I am not alone. And I'm going to make it, man. I'm going to be okay. And I don't have to engage his energy. I don't have to engage his vibration for me to handle this. I'm going to let Christ handle this. And, I'm going to put the burden upon the Christ, and I walk free. And I know there'll probably be backlash because of this video from him, needless to say, and probably from family or whatever. And I'm okay with that. I'm ready to deal with that. But this is my way of dealing with this. This is my way of handling this. So maybe I will do other videos to share more. And, and this is not to put him out or to paint him as a bad person, because I'm sure if you have a conversation with him, he would have more than enough to say about my faults and my shortcomings. So all I'm doing is I'm sharing my experience, and I'm going through the motions for my well-being, for me to be okay. And, for me to just speak to someone out there who could be going through the same thing, to say, hey, you're not alone. It happens to the best of us. Anyone who knows me, if there's one word they could use to describe me, is strong. Like everyone says, Tanya is strong, she's sure of herself, she's confident, she's an alpha female. That's how anyone who knows me would describe me. And yet, in this relationship, I was a wounded dog. I was, demeaned, and I was put down. And at some point, I started to believe those things. That's why I stayed for so long, because he convinced me that, no one else would put up with this horrible person that I was. And, it was for my good to stay with him. And I believed that. And for me, I went through a whole spiritual journey that I'm going to share of how I was eventually able to completely walk away. And I want to mention that I tried to walk away so many times. And because I'm a spiritual person, before I walked away, I would go and speak to my spirit guides. I would speak to my angels. I would speak to my ancestors. And every single time they would say, go back. So yes, I stayed because of people telling me to stay. But I also stayed because even when I went to my ancestors, even when I went to my guides, they told me, go back, forgive, go back and forgive, go back and forgive. And I never understood why, but I do now. And, that's where I draw my strength from. That's where I draw my power from. And those are some of the things I will be sharing with you, because for me, these videos are not going to be a pity party. I'm not a victim, I'm not a victim at all. And I want to empower other women in the situation, to give them strength, to share the light with them, so they know that they too have it in them to pick up the pieces and start all over again. They too have it in them to walk away, because you deserve better. You are deserving. No matter what these people say, you are deserving. You are worthy of true love. You are worthy of unconditional love. You are worthy of respect. You are worthy of respect, because that was one constant in my relationship, where I was constantly disrespected. But I want you to know today that you are worthy of love. You are worthy of respect, and you are enough. You don't need to change. I was told so many times about how I could be so much better if I changed this about myself, or if I was like that. And I remember pleading so many times, can you just allow me to be me? Can you please just allow me? And as much as I give you that liberty, allow me to be me. And either you accept me or you don't. So I want you to know that you are enough, just as you are. You don't need to change for anyone. Your soul partner will be drawn to you. Michaela, can you stop it? Please. You don't need to change for anyone. Your soul partner, your sacred partner, the one that is meant for you, will be drawn to you just as you are. The things that everyone hates about you, for them that will be nothing, because they are meant for you. So you are perfect just the way you are. You are enough. You are deserving, and you are worthy. You are worthy of kindness. You are worthy of respect. You are worthy of love. You are worthy to be seen and to be heard, because that's something I didn't have for so long. He would come and spew whatever was on his mind, whatever was in his heart, and walk away without giving me a chance to respond, without giving me a chance to say something or defend myself or whatever. He would just say whatever suited him, to do whatever he wanted to do in that moment, and walk away. But I want you to know today that you are worthy. You have a right to speak, and you have a right to be heard. You have a right to see, and you have a right to be seen. I don't want this video to be too long, so I'm going to wrap it up here and just say that I'd never in a million years thought this would be me on the other end of the camera doing a video like this. Worse still, a video about the father of my children. But that is my reality. And I wanted to share it with you today, in the hopes that someone else will wake up. Someone else won't have to be 9 years in an abusive relationship before they realize that it's an abusive relationship. The abuse is continuing, and he'll probably continue and do other things. And I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. I'm okay. I'm going to be okay regardless. But I want to share my experience, and I'm going to share my experience, regardless of what anyone thinks or what anyone says. Because it's like when a family member rapes a victim and everyone expects us to be hush-hush about it because it's your uncle, because it's your father. In my African culture, it's what I'm doing right now is taboo. but I'm doing it anyway because it could save someone's life. There was a time where he wanted to stab me in front of my kids. And my maid had to come between us and beg him not to do it. So yeah, I'm breaking the silence and I'm doing the taboo and I'm ready to deal with the consequences. But I'll be damned if I keep silent. I'll be damned if I keep silent. I'm going to leave it here for now. Love and light to you all. And nithandwa ndim. Makhosi.